So if you've ever considered what it would take to turn the real world into a rich virtual copy, you would realize that this is a huge undertaking. If you think of the amount of detail in a single block of New York City, in a single building, in a side of a single building, it's a huge amount of information. My co-founder and I discovered that there's a huge need for putting the real world in virtual space, starting from the video game industry and through the Combine and many other accelerators and opportunities, discovering the breadth of this problem. And we founded Geopipe. So today, Geopipe makes it possible to automatically build rich virtual copies of the real world for games, simulations, and visualization. We can rapidly, in less than a day, map entire cities from raw sensor data with not only how the world looks, but what's in the world, with every building, tree, road, and sidewalk labeled and reproduced. We discovered that raw sensor data about the world, things like photographs and laser scans, are increasingly democratized and accessible, collectible by drones, UAVs, helicopters, cars, and that customers today increasingly need virtual copies of the real world for visualization, simulation, and interaction. And especially today, when many people are stuck inside their homes or unable to go visit places in person, it's even more important to be able to put the real world into virtual space. But we found that there's a missing link between that raw data and the 3D maps and models that customers want to actually use. Geopipe is that missing link. As I said, I'm Christopher Mitchell. I co-founded Geopipe with my longtime friend and colleague, Thomas Dickerson, who got his PhD also in computer science at Brown University. Will Pryor, who spent almost a decade in the drone and 3D data space at a company in San Francisco, joins us as our VP of Biz Dev and Sales. He's been with the company for a few months now. We have a full-time team of 6 now, as well as 6 other part-timers and interns. And we have an advisory board spanning expertise in business, entrepreneurship, and academia, including an NYU professor. We are going after 3 primary verticals: gaming, simulation, and architecture. We found that in gaming, it can take hundreds and hundreds of person months to build rich 3D copies of existing cities, even a few square miles of a city for games. And increasingly, gamers are calling for the real world in their games, for big open world, so-called sandbox games that they can explore. With Geopipe, we can deliver models of a city in less than an hour. Similarly, architects need to be able to put the real world in virtual space, to visualize new buildings in context, to perform things like view and shadow studies, and to create the kinds of beautiful renderings and videos you expect to see for new projects. It can take them an hour per city block to create just plain white masked models, 4 times as much for colored and textured and detailed models, and hundreds to thousands of hours if they need an entire neighborhood. With Geopipe, they can get a model of any size at any level of detail in 30 seconds. And looking towards the future, we're working with companies who need to train personnel and autonomous vehicles in the real world, and who similarly need to reproduce every single detail of the real world, from the locations of lanes to curbs to traffic lights and signs to the individual buildings, windows, and doors in the world. In the last 3.5 or so years, we've developed 2 powerful products that are in use by revenue-generating customers today. Geopipe Context Nap was our first product aimed towards early adopters in architecture. It allows customers to see our 3D models of cities directly in a web browser, click on objects to see the metadata that Geopipe knows about them, like how tall they are, what they're made of, and what exactly they are. And then most importantly to them, select an area and download it as an industry standard file they can use in their own software. More recently, we've also created the Geopipe API and SDK. It's a way that customers can stream Geopipe worlds directly into game engines. And we find that these game engines like Unity and Unreal are being used not just for games themselves, but for simulations, for virtual reality, for architectural visualizations, and for many of these immersive interactive applications. Of course, we're a deep tech company, so one of the coolest parts for us is how it works under the hood. We start with this raw data about the world: photographs, laser scans, traditional GIS data. We pass this through a rich data pipeline, hence Geopipe, that processes this geographic data, first segmenting out where the buildings, the trees, the roads, the water, and much more are. And then for each of those objects, identifying the locations of windows and doors, the materials on the sides of structures, the heights and crown diameters of trees, and much more. We can then turn those rich 3D maps into immersive 3D worlds, cities that can be prepared in less than 24 hours for hundreds of square miles. We've bootstrapped ourselves with almost 4 years of deep R&D to create our two powerful products. We found our product market fit with dozens of paying and beta enterprise customers. We've gone through accelerator programs like, of course, the NYC Media Lab, the Techstars NYC program, the Creative Destruction Lab, and most recently, we are in the Genius NY program, all of which have allowed us to build our team, understand our markets, and bring the same rigor to the business that we bring to the science behind the business. We've garnered over $2 million in primarily non-dilutive funding, including NSF, SBIR Phase 1 and 2 grants, incubator and accelerator funding, and angel pre-seed investments. And we're now in the process of scaling to meet specific traction and revenue milestones in the next 12 months. I would be more than happy to talk more about Geopipe. Very passionate about what we're doing. We're excited about putting the entire world into virtual space. And especially these days, we're excited to let people do more from the safety of their homes. Thank you.